Lindsey Graham has established himself as a prominent figure among Republican senators in the United States, despite his shifting alliances. Through his outspoken and often controversial nature, Graham has managed to stay relevant and influential. However, what often goes unnoticed is the truth about Graham's private life and his partners. Before delving into that, let's first explore a brief background of the South Carolina senator. Born on July 9, 1955, in the segregated part of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham had a humble and challenging childhood. Living with his parents, Millie and Florence James Graham, and his sister in the back room of their bar, the Sanitary Cafe, which also functioned as a restaurant, meant sharing a bathroom with patrons who worked at a nearby mill plant. The family eventually moved to a trailer and later to a nearby house, but Graham's early responsibilities at a young age forced him to mature quickly. Starting work at a pool hall at just 12 years old, Graham helped with his family's financial struggles, shouldering significant responsibilities as the eldest child. However, this also exposed him to unsafe environments and the harsh realities of segregation, as the bar did not allow black people to drink beer, despite a significant African-American population in Central. These experiences during his formative years left a lasting impression on him. In high school, Graham was not a straight-A student, but a C student. However, he remained determined to pursue his dreams, once expressing his ambition to become governor someday, despite facing skepticism from his classmates. Following his graduation from Daniel High School and scoring 800 out of 1,600 on his SAT, Graham's determination led him to be accepted at the University of South Carolina, marking a historic milestone as the first in his family to attend college. While Graham was a student at the university, he received an urgent call to come home. Upon his arrival, he found his mother battling an advanced stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma and in terrible condition. Sadly, despite being rushed to the hospital, his mother did not make it. Shortly after, Graham received another heartbreaking call informing him that his 13-year-old sister had found their father dead in his sleep from a massive heart attack. With both parents gone, Graham took on the responsibility of being his sister's legal guardian to stay close to home and care for her. To remain close to home and care for his sister, Graham continued his studies at the University of South Carolina in Columbia. After graduating from the University of South Carolina School of Law, Graham joined the United States Air Force in 1982 as an attorney in the Judge Advocate General's Corps. He began his service as an Air Force defense attorney and later got transferred to Ramstein Air Base in Frankfurt, Germany, where he served as the Air Force's chief prosecutor in Europe from 1984 to 1988. During this time, Graham was featured in an episode of 60 Minutes while defending an Air Force pilot accused of using marijuana, which exposed the Air Force's flawed drug testing procedures. Following his service in Europe, Graham returned to South Carolina and began working in private practice as a lawyer. From 1988 to 1992, he served as the Assistant County Attorney for Oconee County and as the City Attorney for Central from 1990 to 1994. In 1989, Graham joined the South Carolina Air National Guard and served there until 1995 before transitioning to the U.S. Air Force Reserve. During the Gulf War in 1990 to 1991, he was recalled to active duty as a judge advocate at McEntire Air National Guard Station in Eastover, South Carolina, where he briefed departing pilots on the laws of war. In 1998, Graham was promoted to lieutenant colonel, and by 2004, he earned another promotion to colonel in the U.S. Air Force Reserve, with the ceremony held at the White House and officiated by President George Bush. In 2006, the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces ruled that it was improper for Graham to serve as a military judge while being a sitting senator, despite the initial lower court decision. In 2007, Graham undertook short stints in Iraq as a reservist on active duty, focusing on detainee and rule of law issues, first in April and then for 2 weeks in August. In August 2009, during the Senate recess, he went to Afghanistan for additional service. Subsequently, he was assigned as a senior instructor at the Judge Advocate General School, although he did not assume that role. In 2014, Graham was honored with the Bronze Star for his exceptional service as a senior legal advisor to the Air Force in Iraq and Afghanistan from August 2009 to July 2014, responsible for overseeing the detention of military prisoners. After over 33 years of service, Graham retired from the Air Force as a colonel in 2015, as he had reached the mandatory retirement age of 60. Throughout his tenure as a congressman and senator, he did not receive a military paycheck due to his ineligibility while serving in the federal government. In 1994, Graham seized the opportunity to pursue his political aspirations when Democratic U.S. Congressman Butler Derrick retired after 20 years representing South Carolina's 3rd Congressional District. With the support of Republican U.S. Senator S.T.M. Thurmond, Graham entered the race to succeed Derrick. Graham emerged victorious in the Republican primary with 52% of the vote, and in the general election, he secured 60% of the vote, marking the first time a Republican represented the district. Since in 1996, he faced off against Debbie Dorn, who hailed from a prominent political family and emerged successful in the election. Graham won re-election with 60% of the vote, while Dorn received 40%. 2 years later, in 1998, Graham ran again and easily secured a 3rd term without facing any opponents. By the year 2000, Graham was back in the race, this time against Democrat George Bright Harp. The campaign was tough, but Graham's popularity stayed strong. He won a clear 4th term with 68% of the vote, leaving Bright Harp with 30%. In 2002, the longtime U.S. Senator Strom Thurmond decided to retire. Sensing his chance, Lindsey Graham ran for Thurmond's seat. He easily won the Republican primary without opposition. However, the real challenge came during the general election against Alex Sanders. Sanders was a former president of the College of Charleston and a former chief judge of the South Carolina Court of Appeals. Despite Sanders's solid background, Graham's campaign was relentless. On Election Day, Graham secured a victory with 6,010 votes to Sanders' 48,735. He finished with 54% of the vote, while Sanders had 44%. This election was historic. Graham became South Carolina's first new senator since Fritz Hollings in 1966. Graham ran for a 2nd term in 2008, and that election was different. He faced a primary challenge from Buddy Witherspoon, a member of the South Carolina Republican Party's National Committee. To many's surprise, Graham won big. He collected 186,187 votes out of 547, which was about 66.8%. Witherspoon got around 33%. Graham swept nearly every county, winning 45 out of all 46 counties in South Carolina. The general election saw him face Democrat Bob Conley. Conley was a pilot and engineer who had also managed to secure the Democratic nomination. Despite Conley's strong background, Graham's campaign was powerful. He spent about $6.6 million to Conley's $15,000. The money paid off. Graham won decisively with over 1.76 million votes, compared to Conley's 790,000. He finished with 57.5% of the vote on Election Day. From then until 2014, Graham's elections were smooth. He had an easy run for re-election until that year. In 2014, he was seen as one of the most vulnerable Republican senators up for re-election. His low approval ratings and his willingness to work with Democrats made him a target. Some conservative groups, including the Tea Party, wanted to replace him. Chris Choka, head of the Club for Growth, even said they would back a challenger in the Republican primary. Despite threats and obstacles, a strong candidate still emerged. No major challenger appeared, making Graham seem like the likely winner. His success was mainly due to his skill in responding aggressively to threats. Graham befriended potential opponents in the state's congressional delegation, helping them raise funds and secure committee spots. He built a strong campaign machine called the Graham Machine, which had 6 regional offices and thousands of paid staffers and volunteers. Over 5,000 precinct captains supported him. Graham also built a huge campaign war chest and flooded South Carolina with positive ads. He focused on helping his constituents with local issues, boosting his appeal. Instead of pandering to Tea Party supporters, Graham challenged them directly. He argued that the Republican Party needed to be more inclusive. As the primary approached, his efforts started to pay off. His approval ratings rose sharply. When Election Day arrived, Graham won with 178,033 votes, far ahead of his nearest challenger. State Senator Lee Bry received just 48,900 votes, or 15.4%. Despite some controversy, Graham kept running as senator for the full term. In 2014, he began to consider a run for president. Less than a year later, he decided to pursue his childhood dream by entering the 2016 race. This time, things weren't as easy. The Republican field was crowded, and Lindsey's numbers were so low he might as well have been invisible. He faced tough opponents like Donald Trump. His campaign failed badly before it even started. Still, he continued to criticize Trump whenever he could. He had a chance to oppose Trump, but couldn't stand his bold style. Trump's blunt, shoot-from-the-hip speech was very different from Graham's usual refined approach. Graham often used humor and sarcasm to show how silly he thought Trump's policies were. Sometimes he didn't hold back, calling Trump a jackass, a religious bigot, and even telling him to go to hell. Trump always responded in his own way, once reading Graham's phone number aloud during a press conference. After that, Graham saw the writing on the wall. He decided to drop out of the race on December 21st, 2015. Interestingly, after Trump won the presidency, Graham's stance changed completely. By March 2017, he had a surprisingly good meeting with Trump and even gave him his new phone number. By October 2017, they were playing golf on several occasions. Graham, who once called Trump unfit for office, was now praising their first golf game like they were old friends. In April 2018, Graham said he would support Trump's re-election in 2020. This was a huge shift from his earlier criticism during the 2016 primaries. Even after most networks called the 2020 election for Joe Biden, Graham stuck with Trump. Their alliance only grew stronger. On January the 28th, 2023, Graham appeared at Trump's first primetime rally for 2024. He also went on Fox News with Sean Hannity, reaffirming his support. Graham played a key role in helping raise his sister Darlene after their parents died. Both lost their parents within months, Graham at 22 and Darlene at 13. He had to take care of her because of this. Loving his sister deeply was tough for a young man, but it also brought them close. They became almost inseparable. During his 2015 presidential campaign, Darlene said she wanted to join him on the trail. She hoped to show voters Graham's softer side. She wanted people to see the caring person behind the politician. When it comes to Graham's love life, there's not much to talk about. He's not secretive, but his relationships have been pretty quiet. In law school, he had a girlfriend named Debbie. Their relationship didn't last long. Later, while in the Air Force in Germany, his love life remained uneventful. He dated a fellow Marine officer named Carol, who later joined Colin Powell's staff. One serious romance almost led to marriage with an air hostess named Sylvia. During his time at a German air base, Graham found and lost love within a year. Their relationship ended because her elderly mother couldn't move to South Carolina, and Graham didn't plan to stay in Germany. Despite the connection, they went separate ways. Graham's life has had its share of controversy. In 2020, the topic heated up when a gay adult film star named Sean Harding took to Twitter. Harding accused Graham of being gay and used the hashtag #LadyG, which he said was Graham's nickname among male sex workers. The post caused a stir on social media and brought up long-standing rumors about Graham's private life. People whispered that Graham had been seen in gay bars and might have had same-sex relationships. It was especially ironic because, back in 2010, he faced criticism for defending those who opposed gay marriage. Throughout all this, Graham has denied the rumors publicly. He insists he is straight. His personal love life remains largely private. We don't know his exact home address for privacy and security reasons. What we do know is that he lives in Seneca, South Carolina. Seneca is a quiet town in the northwest part of the state, near the Blue Ridge Mountains and Lake Kiowa. His neighborhood mixes rural and suburban features. It's a peaceful place with easy access to nature and community. Graham owns property investments as well. In 2007, he bought a 10,000-square-foot office building in Seneca for $2.5 million. The value has since grown to about $4 million. Another property is a brick townhome in Washington, D.C., purchased in 1997 for $225,000. Its value has increased to around $800,000. This townhome serves as Graham's home when he is in the capital. It's located in a convenient spot, allowing him to balance his work and personal life.